Let's start with the cold truth that most men will spend their entire lives avoiding. You are not unlucky. You're just undisciplined. That's it. That's the diagnosis. You're not the victim of some global conspiracy, some economic curse, or some tragic twist of fate. You're the result of your daily decisions. You see, they've sold you comfort as a virtue. They taught you that struggle is unfair, that stress is toxic, and that suffering is something to avoid. And you believed them. You swallowed that lie like it was medicine. And now you're shocked that your life feels empty. But the harsh truth is, every great man in history, every single one earned his power through discomfort, pressure, and relentless self-control. Not motivation, not chance, not some magical formula, just ruthless, consistent, disciplined action. You wake up late, check your phone, scroll through distractions, and convince yourself you're taking a break. Break from what? You haven't earned the right to rest. You're tired, not because you're overworked, but because you've been living without purpose. You have no structure, no war plan, no internal code you follow. And without a code, a man becomes a leaf in the wind, blown in every direction, controlled by forces he doesn't understand. That's where you are. And the worst part, deep down, you know it. That voice in your head, the one that whispers when the room goes quiet. That's the real you screaming to wake up. But you silence it with noise. You mute it with entertainment. You numb it with food, sex, video games, anything to avoid confronting the fact that you've betrayed yourself. But here's the power in this reality. If you're the reason you're broke, you're also the reason you can become rich. If it's your fault, it's also within your control to fix. That's not doom. That's liberation. That's the moment you take the reins of your life and say, enough. I'm done being weak. No more blaming your parents, no more crying about the system, no more waiting for a miracle. You become the miracle. You become the weapon. You rise from mediocrity not because someone pulled you up, but because you decided to stop sinking. You built yourself in the dark while everyone else begged for light. And that's where real power is forged. Not in comfort, not in ease, but in the furnace of self-discipline. You understand how dangerous you become when you start doing the things you hate with military precision? When you go to the gym, even when you're tired, when you wake up at 5 a.m., even when it's cold and raining, when you study while everyone else is partying, you become untouchable. You develop an edge that no university, no course, no job can give you. That's the difference between a man who lives as a king and one who begs like a peasant. The king serves himself discipline on a silver plate every single day. The peasant serves his emotions. The king conquers his mind. The peasant obeys his feelings. That's the line. And you get to choose which side you're on every single morning you open your eyes. Because you think I was born into this mindset? You think I had it easy? No, I was a nobody, just like you. But I refused to be average. I refused to live in fear. I made a pact with myself. I will suffer now, so I never suffer again. And I stuck to it. Every day. Not just when it felt good. Every damn day. Because I understood something very early on. Discipline buys freedom. When you master your habits, you master your outcome. And when you master your outcomes, you master your life. And that is when the real transformation begins. Not when you read a quote, not when you watch a video, but when you put your head down and start executing with ruthless intent. You need to understand something very clearly. The life you want doesn't come to the man who waits. It comes to the man who becomes worthy of it. And worthiness is not gifted, it's earned. In the early hours, in the late nights, in the moments nobody's watching, when you're tired, alone, broke, and no one believes in you, that's where champions are built. That's where the next version of you is forged. You will not break if you suffer. You will break if you avoid it. Lean into it, seek it, own it. Because the man who is comfortable being uncomfortable is the man who owns the world. And listen closely now. I'm not here to destroy your hope. I'm here to awaken it. You are capable of more than you've ever been told. More than you believe. But capability without discipline is wasted potential. So take the pain. Use it. Let it sharpen you. Let it harden you. Let it be the reason you rise, not the excuse you fall. Because when the day comes, and it will, when you look back in your life, you'll either be the man who broke himself down to rebuild greatness, or the man who had every chance and did absolutely nothing with it. Which one do you want to be? I remember being broke. And I don't mean the poetic Instagram version of broke. I mean cold apartment, empty fridge, phone on airplane mode to avoid the bank kind of broke. You ever sit in the dark, not because it's romantic, but because you couldn't afford the electricity bill? That was me, not in some ancient chapter of life, Not when I was a kid, as a grown man. A man with pride, a man with dreams, a man who looked in the mirror and hated what he saw because I knew deep down I'd let myself become weak. That kind of broke. Isn't about money. It's about identity. It eats at your soul. It humiliates you in silence. Every step outside feels like a performance. A mask you wear so nobody knows how close you are to breaking. And I had a moment sitting on that cheap mattress, staring at a cracked ceiling, where I decided this is the bottom. Not because someone told me, not because the situation improved, but because I refused to sink lower. That's when things changed. That decision, that internal contract I signed with my own future, that was the birth of the man I am today. You see, transformation doesn't start with money connections or some mentor guiding your hand. It starts with brutal self-honesty. I looked at my life like a surgeon and said, everything that's weak, we cut. Everything that's useless, we burn. Everything that doesn't lead to power, we kill. That's what I did. One decision at a time. I sold furniture to pay for training. I skipped meals to afford equipment. I watched people laugh, party, celebrate birthdays, while I was shadowboxing and freezing gyms with holes in the roof. But let me tell you something most people don't understand. Those lonely nights, those painful sacrifices, they weren't losses, they were deposits. Every missed pleasure was a brick in the castle I was building inside my mind. And when you stack enough bricks, the walls grow high enough to keep the weakness out. That's when you become untouchable. That's when the suffering becomes sacred. I had friends disappear, women leave, people mock me. You know what I did? Nothing. I didn't chase. I didn't beg. I stayed quiet. I stayed moving. Because when you're on the path to greatness, you must be comfortable walking alone. And the further you go, the fewer people can follow. That's the tax of becoming exceptional. The average will always resent the rare. But here's the irony. When you start winning, they all come back. Smiling. Pretending they always believed. That's how you know you've arrived. Not when they cheer for you, but when they envy you in silence. When the same people who doubted you start imitating your discipline. I didn't climb out of hell with inspiration quotes. I didn't become wealthy because I got lucky. I changed because I made suffering my ally. I transformed pain into fuel. And once you learn to love the process more than the prize chases you. I trained every day like I was fighting death itself, because in a way I was fighting the death of my potential, the death of the man I could have been, and that fight never ends. Every morning you wake up, you either move closer to your destiny or deeper into decay. There is no pause button. The world doesn't wait for you to get your life together. It keeps spinning, and if you don't keep up, you get left behind, forgotten, irrelevant, invisible. You ever feel invisible? You ever walk through the world and feel like nobody sees you, nobody respects you, nobody fears you? That's not their fault. That's yours. Because respect is earned, presence is cultivated, and fear is a gift reserved for the few men on this planet who walk like warriors, speak like kings, and think like conquerors. I became that man not by accident, but by bleeding, sweating, sacrificing, and never stopping when it got hard. In fact, the harder it got, the more I smiled. Because pain meant progress, resistance meant growth, and isolation meant elevation. While the rest of the world was busy fitting in, I was busy building an empire inside my soul. Do you know what it feels like to walk into a room and command it? Not because you're loud, but because your aura is undeniable. Because you've conquered yourself so many times, the world can't help but submit. That's not some fairy tale. That's real. That's available to you. But you'll never taste it until you suffer with purpose, until you stop pretending life is supposed to be easy, until you stop asking for permission to become powerful. The truth is, the man you want to be is already inside you. He's not waiting on motivation. He's waiting on war. The war against laziness, against self-pity, against your past. I tell you this story not so you admire me, but so you see yourself. So you stop waiting for the world to hand you a crown. No one's coming to save you, but that's the best news you'll ever hear. Because once you accept it, you stop hoping and start building. That's when life shifts. That's when you walk away from the herd and become a wolf. And when the wolf howls, the whole world listens. Every second that passes is another chance you just hand it to someone else. Right now, there's a man waking up with fire in his chest, hunger in his soul, and the same 24 hours you waste crying about how hard life is. He doesn't feel sorry for himself. He doesn't need permission. He's not waiting for motivation or hoping for kindness from the world. He's too busy stealing everything you thought you wanted. And the terrifying part? he's already ahead. Because while you were distracted by comfort, he was busy turning discipline into domination. You keep thinking you've got time. You act like youth is a currency you can spend recklessly. But one day you'll blink and the window will be gone. You'll be older, slower, bitter, watching from the sidelines as younger, sharper, more ruthless men take everything you could have had. And the worst part isn't losing. It's knowing you never tried hard enough. That realization will haunt you more than failure ever could. Regret is a prison without walls. It doesn't chain your body, it chains your mind, and it never lets go. I've sat across from men in their 40s, broken by the choices they didn't make. They say the same thing every time. I wish I started earlier. But they didn't. Because they thought tomorrow was guaranteed. They thought struggle was optional. They thought staying comfortable was safer. And now they spend their lives paying the price in silence. That's not a life. That's a slow death. And if you're not careful, that becomes you. Every time you say not today, someone else says right now, and he becomes the man you'll envy forever. Let me be brutally clear. The world doesn't care about your intentions. It respects outcomes. It honors results. Nobody is giving you applause for potential. You either build your legacy or you get buried under someone else's. And if you think you're safe because you got a little money, a job, a routine, you're mistaken. Safety is the most dangerous lie you've ever been sold. It makes you soft. It makes you slow. It makes you predictable. And predictable men are easy to replace, easy to control, and easy to forget. You think pressure's your enemy. You've been programmed wrong. Pressure is the proving ground. That anxiety you feel in your chest, that's your body telling you you're still alive. Use it. Stop numbing it. Stop running from it. Winners don't avoid pressure. They invite it, absorb it, and crush it underfoot. The discomfort you fear is the exact discomfort that will free you if you learn to lean into it instead of hiding behind cheap distractions and pointless escapes. Look around. Most people are asleep. Their bodies are walking, but their minds are dead. They've traded ambition for entertainment. They scroll endlessly, laugh at nothing, talk about weekends like children waiting for recess. Do you understand how insane that is? You've been gifted a brain capable of conquering empires, and you waste it watching other people chase their dreams while you rot in digital sedation? That should make your blood boil. You're better than this, and you know it. That voice inside you, the one whispering that you were meant for more, it's real. You've just been ignoring it so long, it's barely a whisper now. But it's still there, waiting for you to listen. And here's the harshest truth of all. There is no restart button. This isn't a video game. You don't get to respawn with more experience if you mess this life up. You get one shot, one life, and the clock's been ticking since you were born. What are you going to do with it? Keep wasting years pretending you're figuring things out? Keep telling yourself next month you'll start being serious? You're not confused. You're just scared. Scared to suffer. Scared to fail. Scared to face the mirror and admit you've been wasting potential. But guess what? Fear is fuel. Fear is fire when you use it right. I was terrified too. Terrified of being a nobody. Terrified of dying with my greatness locked inside. That fear forced me to move, to wake up before the sun, to train when I was sick, to build when no one believed in me. Fear isn't your enemy. In fact, it's the most honest friend you've got. It shows you exactly what matters. You fear wasting time because deep down, you know time is priceless. You fear failure because you know you're built to win. You don't need another motivational quote. You need a moment of clarity. A moment where you finally understand that everything you dream about is on the other side of this lazy, scared, fragile version of yourself you keep protecting. Destroy that version. Burn him. Kill him. Replace him with a man who chooses courage over comfort, action over excuses, growth over escape. The future doesn't belong to the hesitant. It belongs to those who are urgent, to those who move while others wait, to those who fight while others fantasize, to those who choose to become legends while the rest stay trapped in mediocrity. And if you want to be one of them, the rare, the powerful, the unforgettable, then stop playing games with your life. Because while you're busy watching, someone else is becoming everything you were meant to be. There comes a moment in every man's life when he must choose between comfort and conquest. And that moment doesn't scream, it whispers. It doesn't arrive with a crowd or confetti or some grand announcement. It shows up in silence, usually when no one is watching, asking you one question: are you ready to take yourself seriously, or are you going to keep playing the fool? They wait for signs, wait for support, wait for the perfect time. But the truth is, life doesn't wait. It rewards the man who moves first, bleeds first, risks first. The man who says, I don't need permission to become great, I only need the will. Discipline is not a mood, it's not a vibe, it's not something you do when it's easy. Discipline is a declaration. It's the roar of a man who's decided he refuses to be average ever again. It's waking up at war with weakness. It's walking past temptation without flinching. It's showing up even when no one's clapping. Because you don't need applause, you need results. People talk about motivation like it's some magic energy that descends from the sky. That's nonsense. I didn't get here because I was motivated. I got here because I was obsessed. I treated my goals like life or death, because in a way they are. Your dreams die when you don't feed them with action. You want to know what real strength is? It's not about muscles or cars or how loud you are in a room. Real strength is the ability to do what needs to be done long after the excitement has faded. It's grinding in silence. It's building while people doubt you. It's refusing to break even when the world is throwing everything at you. And still standing, still pushing, still climbing. That's what separates the average from the elite. Not talent, not luck, just sheer stubborn consistency. The refusal to give in, the decision to endure. You need to understand something. Success is not an accident. It's not a lottery ticket. It's not something you stumble upon one day. It's something you build brick by brick, choice by choice. You build it when you skip comfort for growth. You build it when you say no to shortcuts. You build it when you keep your promises to yourself, especially when no one's watching. Because every time you quit early, every time you back off because it hurts, every time you say later instead of now, you're teaching your mind that weakness is acceptable. And once that lesson sinks in, you start to decay slowly, silently, until you become the man you used to mock, the man who used to try. I wake up every day like I'm broke. Like I've got something to prove. Because the truth is, complacency kills more dreams than failure ever will. The second you think you've made it, you've already started slipping. There is no finish line. There is no done. There is only the next level, the next challenge, the next mountain to conquer. And if that doesn't excite you, if that makes you tired just thinking about it, then you're not built for this. But if that lights a fire inside your chest, if that makes your blood heat up and your lungs tighten, good. That means you're still alive. And that means you've still got the hunger. People want confidence, but they don't want to earn it. You think I was born walking into rooms like I own them? No, I bled for this. I bled for every ounce of belief I carry in my voice. Confidence doesn't come from words. It comes from war. From choosing suffering, from showing up to the gym when it's cold, from doing business when you're stressed, from pushing when your body begs you to stop. Confidence is built in the furnace of repetition. You want to believe in yourself? Then do hard things. Do them daily. Do them until they no longer scare you. Do them until the world can't ignore you. You keep waiting for life to hand you clarity, but life doesn't hand you clarity. It hands you pain. And you use that pain to carve your path. Pain is the universe telling you where the gold is buried. Pain is the map. When you feel it, don't run, follow it. Because that's where you grow. That's where you find yourself. Not in comfort, not in distraction, not in escape. In pain, in pressure, in the fight. That's where real men are forged. Not in the dream, but in the grind. There are two versions of you right now. The one who continues to talk about what he's going to do and the one who actually does it, and they are not the same man. One will look back 5 years from now and lie to himself about why he never made it. The other will be unrecognizable, standing on a level the old version wouldn't even understand. You have the power to choose which man you become. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Because now is all you'll ever have. The future isn't promised. You think you got time, but time is the one thing that never negotiates. The world owes you nothing, but it will give you everything if you learn to demand more of yourself. If you stop chasing cheap highs and start chasing purpose. If you stop being addicted to ease and become addicted to effort. If you stop fearing failure and start fearing regret. That's when things change. Not because the world changes, but because you do. You flip the switch, you rise, you evolve. And when that happens, when you finally become the man who refuses to quit, who refuses to complain, who refuses to live on his knees, then the world has no choice but to respect you, to move for you, to yield to the force of a man who decided that excuses would never define him. So stand up, step up, and never, ever stop moving forward, because there is no glory in comfort, only death. There comes a moment when talk dies and action must breathe, where the man inside you either takes the throne or dies silent, forgotten, buried beneath the weight of excuses you whispered to yourself every night. You've been lied to since birth. Lied to by schools, by media, by friends who told you, take it easy, don't stress, you've got time. Every second you waste pretending you're not built for greatness is a second stolen by the man you could have become. The version of you that wakes up before the world, trains like a savage, builds empires from silence, and never bows to fear. That version is waiting, suffocating, locked behind your cowardice. The world doesn't care how you feel. Life doesn't pause because you're tired. Success doesn't lower its standards to meet your comfort. Everything you want, freedom, power, legacy, sits at the top of a mountain built on discipline and pain. You either climb or you stay at the bottom, watching other men become what you were too scared to attempt. And let me tell you something real. No one's coming to save you. There is no motivational speech that replaces effort. No book, no guru, no hack that substitutes raw, consistent work. You must be your own hero. You must become the man you pray would rescue you when life hits hardest. Do you understand what's at stake? This isn't about making money or lifting weights or getting a few compliments. This is your life, your blood, your legacy. You are the product of every choice you've made until now. And if you keep choosing weakness, then weakness will define your story. But if you choose war, inner war against laziness, war against mediocrity, war against the parts of you that flinch and fold, then you can rewrite everything. Because greatness isn't in your genetics, it's in your decisions. And that truth should terrify and empower you at the same time. Terrify you because you're responsible for your pain. Empower you because you can end it. You want power? Then get out of bed early. Eat with discipline. Move with purpose. Speak like you mean every word. Protect your mind like it's the last currency you have. Surround yourself with killers, not cowards. Chase discomfort. Embrace boredom. Build through suffering, because it's not supposed to feel good. This isn't Disneyland. This is the arena. And every man who walks into the arena must bleed before he earns his crown. No shortcuts, no spectators, just men who are willing to crawl through hell for the right to stand like king. And when you fall, and you will fall, do not whine, do not cry for sympathy. Stand up, laugh at the pain, spit in the face of failure and go again, because every time you rise from defeat, you chip away at weakness. Every time you push past what you thought was your limit, you redefine yourself. The goal is not to be better than others. The goal is to become someone no version of you has ever seen before. A man who's terrifying in his focus, indestructible in his discipline, and untouchable by average. This isn't motivation, this is reality. Life will test you whether you like it or not. The difference is whether you walk into the test ready or you beg the universe for mercy. Men who win don't ask for easy, they ask for clarity, and here's yours. You have one life. One shot, one window to build something immortal. You're either going to be remembered or forgotten, praised or pitied, studied or mocked. And the only difference between those outcomes is the decisions you make right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. So what are you going to do? Sit there feeling inspired but unchanged? Or you can get up, slam the door on weakness, and walk like a man who knows he's here to dominate. You've got the power, you've got the fire. But power unused dies. Fire unfed fades. This is your moment. Burn the bridge behind you. Stop entertaining failure. Be aggressive with your destiny. No one respects hesitation. The world respects force, intent, momentum. And you got all three if you just stop being soft with yourself. Mirror and make a promise, not one of those half-hearted affirmations, a real one. A promise that from this moment on, your life will be a relentless march toward domination. That you will not just survive, you will rise. You will not just talk, you will conquer. You will not just exist, you will leave your name carved into history like fire on stone. You're not average, you're not weak, You are a force. Act like it, live like it, die like it. Because if you don't, no one will remember you. And that, my friend, is the ultimate failure.